bit.
A little bit. No, I'm joking. A lot. You help me so much. Oh, look, we're live. Works.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll be live. I'm just seeing if I can find us in the group.
No, you know.
There we are. Yeah. Let me just turn everything down. Sort of feedback. All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's well and been busy. It's been a busy week. We're having a bit of a break here, but I'm joined with Kirsty today to talk all about information security, which as a business owner is really important. It's a tough topic, maybe, but even still, it is an important topic that we should get our heads around, because we're dealing with a lot of people in our day-to-day lives, and we're going to be dealing with their information all the time. So welcome, Kirsty. How are you?
Great. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. All good.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today and chatting us through this topic. It's something that I know you're quite passionate about, so maybe you can share with our viewers and listeners your journey through business and then into pet grooming, and how you've come to chatting to us about information security and also being a dog groomer at the same time.
Crazy, right? So I've been in IT security for over 15 years, more like nearly 20 years. Obviously I had a break when having the kids. But I've worked for very, very large corporations, some smaller ones as well, run some security operations centres, so protecting some private and public clients. So that's good. The journey, I came out of IT security, which was my passion originally, because I found out that one of my children was displaying unusual behaviour and wasn't settling at school. And with the job, with IT security, with the contracts, or wherever you're placed and subcontracted onto other customer sites. So for example, you could be working for a huge corporate company, but then subcontracted out to one of their customers. So as a result, I was traveling around the UK. I would be away from home a lot of the time, and I felt that it wasn't really fair on the children and wasn't meeting their needs. So I came out. I dealt with what was going on at home. It turned out it was actually one of my children's got both of them, but one of them at the time was displaying Asperger's behaviour, autism. We didn't know, obviously, that was even present, in my son. Yeah. There was an awful lot going on. So a lot of big changes had to be made. And then obviously a family member, my mum was quite sick as well back then. So a lot of a life change had to be made there. And as a result, I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I've always been passionate about animals, grew up with like a menagerie of animals going, rescued a lot of animals as well over the years, the horse and so forth, and the dogs. I decided I wanted to go into dog grooming. That was it. I'm full blown. I'm in, just in, So I was training part-time, and that's how I made the transition. So.
And what year was that? How long have you been going dog grooming?
4 or 5 years. Yeah, quite a long time. And then I think I mentioned in your group the other day, somebody was asking about how they built up their kit, and I was literally buying one thing a month. Like, I think the first thing I ever bought was my blaster dryer. Yeah, and I was saving up for the clippers, the expensive old clippers.
That's it. So yeah. You've kind of come to dog grooming out of to have a job where you've got a bit more control and flexibility over your own time, and to spend more time with your kids and look after them.
Right, exactly. So I had to think of something with having an autism diagnosis and schooling issues. I had to think of something that I was able to work around from home or work into my own schedule and diary, and meet the needs of going to needs assessments, hospital appointments, whatever, sensory appointments, OT appointments. So I had to have something that was flexible but earning, but also that really interested me and ignited my passion. So that I would stick in it and stay in it.
Yeah.
Very expensive thing, obviously, to train in.
And what? So the IT security thing. Did you have qualifications in that? Did you go to uni? And
No, actually. So I never had a degree, but I am starting one in October.
Right.
However, I was really lucky. I landed my first gig for a very, very big company with 3 letters, and I can't really name it publicly, if you know what I mean. And I managed to get like an internship and training through that company. And then I moved down so I'm based in Hampshire, and I moved to another site within Hampshire, and I was just literally trained on the job. And I trained around people that were doing ethical hacking for a living for a telecoms company that were also based on site. So we had something called the bridge, a bit like Star Trek, and we had all our monitors and everything. And we were managing at the time a lot of servers all over the world. And if they went down, they generally change from green to red. And that meant that the files weren't propagating or anything. So we go, oh gosh, we've got to deal with that. And so that the bridge compromised of completely loads of monitors everywhere with just server farms, visual display of server farms going from red, yellow, green and back again. So yeah, it kept us quite busy. And then after that, I would generally go and spend about an hour or 2 reading. I don't know if you remember, but the old parallel printers and the dot matrix.
Yeah.
I just read all the old 2600 magazines and all the old Free Kevin Mitnick and everything else, like the Free Kevin era. So, and it was all the Hacker Quarterly. I'd be just digesting and learning the whole time. Telecoms, everything, routers.
Just to build up your knowledge.
Yeah, it was like just a pure thirst for knowledge, just absorbing it like a sponge. And that's how I learned. So I do the day job, learn a bit more on the job, and then I'll go and put in another hour or 2 just down the next block within that building with a telecoms company. So yeah, it was really interesting.
So it's a strange mix of skills, but it's nice to have you here and to pick your brains about stuff. And people might be watching this, listening to this, thinking, so what's this got to do with dog grooming? What's this got to do with the business of dog grooming? But we are probably thick in the middle of taking people's details. We all do it. And so what does information security mean to us as pet groomers? What would you say it means to us?
It means, without scaring anyone, that actually under the GDPR, you guys are liable. You're liable for holding clients' details like anybody else out there, like your dental practice, your doctor, surgery, anything, anybody taking details down. So generally we take down the name, address, telephone number, email address, because you're booking appointments, right? And then you're gonna send text reminders or a WhatsApp or email reminders, but it's our responsibility to keep those details safe.
Yeah.
So, we're running the cards through machines, that's fine. The encryption is dealt with, the machines, that's all outsourced and taken care of. But the other thing is that you have to think really carefully about who's got access to that computer as well, where the data's stored, or if you've got grooming cards. I remember when I started, I had, the paper grooming card, the thick card.
Yeah.
It's even about locking those away. That's people's personal information that cannot be shared. It cannot be sold, and you can't allow people to get access to it.
So when we talk about people's information, you sort of said name, address, email address, phone number. Is there a minimum amount of information, or is just writing down their name and address enough to sort of trigger all your responsibilities under the...
Yeah. So generally, and do look this up and do your research. I would absolutely love for anybody to go and look up the Data Protection Act. I know it's a bit
okay.
But generally, so we take some basic info. So it could be name, address, telephone number, email address, what else, Fluffy, lives at blah 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 and goes to this vet's and blah. 2 or more bits of that information that are compromised in any way means, of clients' details, not necessarily Fluffy, but clients' details, means that has then been, there's a breach of confidentiality, which should be reported to the ICO.org.uk. So that's the Information Commissioner's Office.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the Information Commissioner's Office, because this was something that landed on our doorstep one day, and I was just like, is this a scam? I had to search of it. I had to look it up, and
Well,
like
there
you.
you go.
Sorry?
There you go. Like, everyone's just got to be aware nowadays. There's so many phishing scams going on with emails as well. We've all just got to be really super aware, like super, super, super aware about it. And also, it's not just about like protecting our clients. You know, I approached this as a case of we need to start protecting ourselves more. Recently, I was engaged in a exercise where I had to retrieve somebody's social media account for them because hackers had taken it. So she had gone through, so just diverting is very sorry, but she had gone through, you know, the blue tick, the verified on social media for Instagram. She had received, so she had gone through the process of verifying this account it was for a pub, a famous pub, and she had actually clicked on the email thinking that it come because she'd gone through the process on Instagram trying to verify. The email itself was actually a phishing email. So of course that link that you're clicking on then goes back to a different server, type in the password, you know, all the rest of it, boom, they've got it. They took over the account, they held us ransom. So yeah, so it was quite an effort getting that, digging around, doing a lot of investigatory work, tracking it back to who it was, location of the country, because it wasn't in the UK, and then getting the authorities involved as well. So that's all a bit of what I used to do before, sort of piecing the puzzles together on hacking attempts. So it's called ethical hacking.
Sorry?
It's called ethical hacking. So you're protecting clients' data. So I'm very pro for any groomer. I don't want any groomer or any business out there to fall prey to hackers and attempts. So it's not only about protecting our clients' data, it's also very much about protecting us and empowering us as groomers and business owners to make sure that we've got that knowledge. And I'll happily share more knowledge in the future, links with you. I think you've written down some links, haven't you, about empowering everybody so that they've got a lot more knowledge about how to protect themselves.
You know, and it's not just information theft, I suppose, that we need to worry about. It's also I suppose if you have a computer screen at your shop or a client card at your shop and it's on the desk and you're seeing someone else in, it's making sure that that's not you can't see what's on the screen or you can't see the details on the card. It goes to that very extreme, doesn't it? Yeah. CCTV cameras in your salon as well and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you might actually notice, I don't know if you can quite see, I've actually got a camera out there. Can you see that there? Yeah. And can you see that there's actually taped blinds behind me? This is how extreme I am, right? And then the camera, I sound like a real nerd now, the camera on my laptop I actually have is called a cyber safe. So you can either get sticky, because obviously some ransomware software can actually turn on cameras and microphones, etc., etc. So it's all about protecting us and our data as well. So what I would recommend is that people can't see your client's information, or if in any way, if you're on a plane, train, you've got a laptop, you're working on some documents for work, like any of your policies, any client's details whatsoever, you can actually get a screen privacy guard that you can go over the laptop, and you can actually get them for the phones as well. So, you know, like there's like brands like Unbreakable and stuff like that hold the screen together to stop it smashing. You can actually get them for privacy guards for the phone. So, for example, this is a really good example of that CCTV. If I have client information on this laptop and that is seeing it, I am then breaking, because this is my private residence CCTV, and where's that data being held, right? On a local hard drive. Is that hard drive encrypted? Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, you're making me think, and this was something we picked up before we went live, wasn't it? About we've just recently installed a CCTV camera in our shop that records to a cloud system. Our employee came in on Tuesday actually, and all the doors were open, the back door and everything was open. So it's like, right, let's have a look at the CCTV. Okay, it was the handyman that came in on Sunday and did some repairs. Well, the question's there. Okay, is the computer screen locked, or is our computer system open? So can they access the customs details? So that's the first sort of thing. And then obviously you pointed out that I need to register or inform the ICO as part of our registration that we have CCTV, which is something that we've not done as yet because we've only just got it.
However, I would tell anyone to go on the ICO website, drop that link.
Yeah, I'll do.
Drop that link. I would tell anyone to go on the ICO website and to go through the wizard, because it's not as scary. So this all sounds super scary, but it's not. Break it down into digestible chunks. That's the way you deal with security at the end of the day. So basically, well, pretty much anything, is slightly overwhelming in life, but there is a wizard on there that you can go through free of charge, no cost to you, and it will tell you whether your business, doesn't matter the entity of the business, whether it's limited, sole, partnership, whatever, it does not matter. It will literally guide you through with you answering the questions and tell you whether you need to register with the ICO or not. More than likely you will if you're holding customer details, and especially if you've got CCTV.
And unfortunately, like everything in life, the ICO does come with a small fee, but you do need to be registered because the fines are probably a lot bigger than the fees.
I think it's over £1,000, the fine. And then the fee, I paid £30, I think.
A year.
It's not a lot. It's safer to do it than not do it. Like your TV license costs an awful lot more. So,
and obviously we're out there, we're advertising our services, so you're quite easy to be found as a business. So then it's quite easy to check whether you've been registered with the ICO. I don't know how new the ICO is. It's certainly something that I came across, or we got letters saying you must be registered with the ICO, and I'd never actually heard of it. And I did think it was like a scam to begin with before I started looking into it, and I was like, yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend it to anyone. I know it seems like another layer of stress and paperwork, but it's really easy online. I'm not an advocate. I'm not making any money, by the way.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just trying to empower you all and protect you all.
Yeah.
So it's super easy. You don't have to do anything after that. You're registered. It's done. File it away. You'll get a reminder next year on email. So,
sorry. Yeah. So it's all about protecting you as a business and a business owner, and to stop you from like getting into trouble and getting fines, and making sure we're handling things properly. So if we take, I think there's probably two examples of pet groomers I can think about. It's probably the pet grooming that has paper records, and then a pet grooming that has electronic records. And whether that be mobile or in-house or in a salon, it's probably all the same. But if we take the pet groomer with paper records first, what security measures do you think we should be taking to ensure that we're compliant with data protection, GDPR, and the ICO sort of thing?
Okay, so that would be a case of locking away, not just simply just shoving them in the drawer. I mean, locking away your records, because essentially, would you like those records, think about it as identity theft, would you like it if those records ended up in your competitor's hands? No. Would you like it if those records ended up being sold on, and one of your customers, it was tracked back to you, and one of your customers, had their details used further on down the line? No, you wouldn't. It would horrify you. So the best thing you can do is lock it away and make sure, don't just say this was still my grooming cabin. Don't just shove it in here and then just put the bolt on the door. That's not enough. It's not a deadlock. Take it in the house, put it in a filing cabinet, lock the filing cabinet, put it away, out of eye view, where it cannot be taken, it cannot be stolen, and it cannot be looked at. That's what I would totally recommend for you all.
Yeah, so would a filing cabinet with a lock on it be suitable?
That'd be suitable. A metal one, preferably. Yeah. It's a little bit overboard. I mean, if you wanted to use a safe, I would totally recommend that, but it's a bit silly to recommend like everyone go out and buy a safe that's bolted to the floor. I have done that, so but yeah, no, it's not uncommon. We would actually have fireproof safes in companies, and we'd have them generally hard drives off-site, backups put off-site for disaster recovery purposes. So if something went down, we could literally put that disaster recovery plan into place, bring the hard drives in.
That's it, and we did actually do that when we first started. Things like GDPR weren't around then, but we were on paper cards, and we'd staple card after card to itself. But we'd also update a spreadsheet for disaster recovery. Because you imagine if you're, God forbid, like you had a flood or a fire within your shop, and your paper records got destroyed, that is your business, isn't it?
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So definitely think about other ways to back that up as well. But
especially in recent light of events as well, you always need a backup plan. I think that's a very big lesson to a lot of people, is to always have a backup plan. What if the houses flood? I've known a couple of people who've had their houses flood this year. It's horrendous. So
yeah, you lose that information. So lock the cards away.
yeah.
Make sure they're not on display to customers when they come and see you. Remember, if you're writing notes on your cards, be aware that the customers might ask to see those notes. And I don't know about the Freedom of Information Act, whether you'd probably have an obligation to disclose those notes to. And I had this conversation with Megan actually regarding some HR conversations that we had via WhatsApp. And I said to Megan, before we go down this road of conversations, are these notes, are these messages that I'm sending between you and me, are these notes disclosable? And she said, yes, they are. So again, you've got to be wary. If you put on your notes, this customer is a nutter, or words or even worse, potentially they could access that through freedom of information. So just be mindful of what you're putting on your notes. Make sure people aren't able to access your notes. Maybe if you're grooming and there's a window behind you, people can see in. You might have boards or cards on the table. It's all that sort of stuff that we need to protect, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So when we're in the corporate world, what we would do is even go as far as not having monitors facing next to a window or putting blinds up. You also get privacy shield that you can stick on. In a salon or a mobile environment, I would just obviously recommend not having it facing towards and customers walking by. Put your reception desk the other way, for example. Have that screen facing you, and then the back of it obviously facing the customer. Not as customer friendly, but a lot more savvy about security there.
Yeah, and put those cards away before, if you go into another room and you're expecting another customer to come in, put those cards away so that they're not sitting on the reception desk, and they can read the note saying,
reach over, right?
And or they can read the note saying, customer is a little bit cuckoo, don't invite back, or something like that, because that's just obviously bad for your business, as well as the Data Protection Act. But also you've got to, I think under GDPR now, you've got to actually make sure that the information you keep is relevant as well. And if you've got a card system, you've got to be thinking about how long you're going to keep that card for before you destroy it.
Yeah.
Do you know how
much data for 6 years? Yeah. So it's, where are you going to store that for 6 years? Are you going to keep it on card? Are you going to do you remember they used to use microfiching? And then store it, pay for secure storage or secure storage offsite, even if it wasn't being scanned in. Data is big business. We all hear about big data. I mean, it's just huge. Analytics is huge now. So just going back, you touched slightly on a subject access request earlier on. So when we're pulling information on someone, for example, with the freedom of information, there is something called a SAR, a subject access request. So for example, if an employee wanted to, say an employee felt bullied at work, this is just a generalized example, and they wanted to get all the information, what's been said about them, why they might have been dismissed, or they've gone off sick and they just know that they're being bullied but they can't prove it. Generally, you would use the subject access request, and again, the information's online, ICO, and you would request all the data that's text messages, phone calls, WhatsApps, Facebook messages, like literally anything that is on work computer, work mobile phones, personal mobile phones. If it's not, it doesn't matter the entity, whatever has been said about you, you have a legal right. And the company has to respond to that within 30 days legally. Otherwise, you find that you're breaching the ICO regs.
And it leads to fines, I should think.
Yeah.
But that could be a lot of work, couldn't it? Unless you put
a lot of work. These companies are finding it. I mean, it's all with the GDPR legislation. They can't charge now either for it. very interesting. So
I think we've covered, there's one little question about the card file system. If you have a deadlock on your salon door, would that be sufficient? What about clients' contact details on our mobile phones? You know, how far do we take it? Do these also need to be registered? Our phones are pretty safe now. You know,
right, well, there's a caveat there. So we went down the card route. So I'll answer those questions. Then we're going to go down digital. Have we got time for a quick digital?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, right. So on the card route, lock that salon door, put a metal filing tray in there, a metal filing system cabinet in there. Do not leave that key in the shop, please. Take it home with you. It's really simple things like that, because people will lock them and then think, oh, okay, it's done, and then just pop the key like under the keyboard or whatever.
The key press.
Yeah. So yeah, take it home with you. Put it in a very safe place, but don't lose it at home.
So there's going to be a spike in filing cabinet sales. I'll have to get my Amazon account sorted for that. And then, so let's take the second kind of groomer, I suppose, and I'm kind of generalizing here, is going to be a groomer that has a computer system, a diary system, and a computer system to keep their clients' details on. So what are the benefits of that, and what sort of security measures do we need to have in place when we're thinking about this?
Right, so think of security like an onion with all the layers. So the core part is your client's details, and every layer we put on, we're just adding extra security to protect the core details. Okay, that's my dog's trying to get through the cat flap. So essentially what we'd be doing, for example, if we are storing or using software on a mobile phone, what you do is you make sure that you've got not your children's date of birth as a passcode. Don't leave your finger if you're doing patterns. Don't put your dog's name in, for example. Anything that's easily guessable or even crackable, don't use that as how to open your phone. That is your passcode or your swipe pattern. The same would go for your laptop, for your iPad, for any device you use with details on your customers' details on them. And then, what was the other question? It was around.
What's the pros for using a software to store your client's details on?
Right, so the pros are that you are outsourcing an awful lot of responsibility. So this is one reason that I actually switched from grooming cars to digital software, just because I am then outsourcing a problem to somebody else. I'm paying my subscription fee each month. I know it sounds awful, doesn't it, right? But I'm paying that software fee every month, and it is then down to that software company to make sure that my clients' details are relevant, protected, and that they are complying with GDPR. So always look out for that on the software. They then have a legal responsibility to ensure that that software is secure and it holds that information securely. However, they also have a legal responsibility for where that software is stored. For example, if it's an Amazon web server in a garage, wherever, or in their home, it's their responsibility to make sure that that security and that data is then protected with that server. So the physical security, the physical access side, because believe me, people do try that as well. Then the software side, the Cloudflare protection, for example, any DDoS equipment involved, etc. So all of that is building up your layers around on your onion, building up the security. So there's a very good argument for going digital.
And then our responsibility for that is to ensure that the information that we're inputting is relevant and accurate, isn't it? And then to make sure that the passwords we're using for that software are strong. So perhaps you can tell us a little bit about password security.
Yeah, so again, please do not use your dog or your children's or, somewhere memorable. For example, like your favorite holiday that isn't all over Facebook or Instagram or any other social media site would be a good starting point. You want at least 8 letters. So it's got to be 8 letters, characters, symbols long. It doesn't matter what it is, numbers, everything in. For example, if we were to say, just pick a country, Bill. Tell me a country.
Uruguay.
What?
Uruguay.
Okay, how do you spell that? There you go. That's a great password. Is that going to be easily cracked? You know.
Can I spell it?
Capital U. So you, the way you start it off, right? I don't know. Say Europe. You know, your capital is your first one, for example. And then, okay, let's pick Europe because that's normal. Okay, it's not a country, but let's pick Europe. The word Europe. So capital E, U, R, and then change the O to a 0. P, E, exclamation mark, 1. That would be an example of a very good password if it was long enough, which is not quite long enough. But carry on, go past anything past 8 characters in length is what you want, and make sure it's upper, lower, numeric, and then any symbols. And that's a great starting point for you. Well,
So yeah, so our passwords are our responsibility as well. And then obviously keep going on about, you know, you've got computer screens, make sure people don't have access to computer screens that aren't allowed them.
Around that. And then also, how are you leaving that computer screen? You know, are you walking away and leaving that open? Can somebody come in your shop and just like lean over and nick it, that laptop? And just take the thing and run off, and like there's no password on it. I mean, it sounds silly, but these things happen. I was in Vodafone shop in Winchester a couple of years ago when we were actually out shopping years ago, and somebody came in and nicked a phone off the display. There's a reason that there's dummy phones, you know.
I am the nosiest person going. If I'm in the doctors and there's like computer screens kicking about, my eyes are just like, oh, who's that? Is that about me, or is that about someone like the previous patient? Because some GPs, you know, in some places, they do have a habit of calling you in while still updating the last patient, and you're like, all right, yeah. So I am pretty nosy when it comes to things like that, and I was sort of.
There's an element of it. I mean, look, Facebook's in the prime example of nosiness. We're all inquisitive on what's going on in each other's lives, you know, and it's human nature is what drives it. There is a psychological. We're getting onto the psychological side now, because there is a side where you can actually, it's called Doxing, DOX, where you build up a profile on people. So, for example, I can go online and Google someone and then build up a profile over a length of time and have conversations, and I will learn that they've got 2 dogs, they've got 3 kids, they've got a wife, they work at this place. There's so much information all over the internet, and just then chuck a bit of identity stuff in there.
That's it.
I can create a whole new person, right? You know, I can rip off the details, but obviously we don't do that because I'm not unethical, and that's not who I am. But you know, that's how I was trained. So it goes to show that the way I was trained was that I was trained with the National High-Tech Crime Unit and forensics as well. And the way we're trained is to think like we call it baddie, because we don't like the term hacker, to think like a baddie and then to reverse it, to protect systems, networks, companies, and then to lower that fine, breach, reputation loss, everything. It's all about, you know, look at the reputation. You did the 1-star review earlier, didn't you? Sorry, when was it? Was it earlier today?
It was a while ago. No, it was a while ago.
Sorry, I have on my phone actually, funny enough. And it's all about reputation, isn't it, at the end of the day? So this chat is around protecting yourselves as well. So make sure that your laptops and your mobile phones, if you do lose a phone, which is really easily can happen, can you wipe it, for example? Can you wipe it remotely? It doesn't need to be wiped, or do you just go and change your passwords, or just shut down the phone and erase it, which you can do. Look at mobile phone security on the App Store. There's loads of it there. I totally recommend Trend Microsystems. They're very good reputation. Look at getting a VPN, protect your data.
That's it. And, you know, very simple things to, if you've got a laptop in the shop, all the laptops have a little bit on them where you can thread a chain through it.
Right.
You can lock it onto your reception disk. There is I know some of the grooming software, they have a privacy button on their software, so you can actually hit that. So if you are away from the desk, it clouds all the details. It blanks all the details on your diary and everything. So, you know, they've thought about these things. So we just need to take those last final steps to protect ourselves, don't we?
Exactly. I mean, a VPN on your salon computer might be going just slightly too far here, but I would slightly too far. But you know, it's throwing it out there and giving you options. It's a good thing to actually have on your phone anyway, just for privacy measures, because there is a lot more sniffing going on over networks and wireless networks that don't have security, and we're all joining up to free Wi-Fi wherever, you know, especially if you're on limited mobile data or you want to save money, people join up to cafe Wi-Fi spots wherever, and the baddies do sniff. You know, I was sat in London hotels when I was in training, sniffing data going over hotel network. So you'd be surprised what passwords you see with people logging in. Very surprised, and you can capture it.
So the main things coming out of this is, you know, think about security, think about other people's details and protecting them. And then if you've not heard of them, go and look at the ICO website, Information Commissioner's Office website. You probably have to do their little quiz, and I'll put the links to the quiz in this broadcast, so that you can go on there and see if you need to register. And if you do need to register, then obviously make sure you do. It is a small fee, but make sure you do.
It's not a lot. It's well worth doing to protect yourself. It really is.
Yeah.
I actually think it might be a legal requirement. You need to check that maybe.
It will tell you on the website.
Sure is, yeah.
We're certainly members of it. So, but yes, so that was the sort of first half of the chat. The second half is more about you and your grooming career, and you're now an iPet training school, aren't you, and offering iPet qualifications?
Yeah, so my training school is a little bit different. It's small, it's very small, it's very boutique, very much about empowering women as well. So they're changing careers, either they've had a bad life experience. You can hear my dogs going. They've either had a bad life experience, or they just want to do something for themselves, just to empower themselves just a little bit more. So it's all about working on confidence and self-esteem. It's also about learning a new skill, getting in the mode of learning, having a bit of fun and giggles along the way, getting your social media up and running, and tapping them into the best that they can get in the industry, really, and making it so that they can succeed. So, and I really pride myself on that.
So how, obviously you must have done like 3 years of grooming before you then became an iPet school?
Oh, more than that, yeah. Sorry, excuse me a minute. Yes, more than that. But you have to obviously do your qualifications as well, and be qualified at least a level 3, have at least a level 3 qualification. But I've also had teaching experience in the past, working for county councils and things like that. So teaching lots of classes, and I used to do IT security teaching as well. So, and basic security, basic computing.
So what made you go down the iPet route, or what do you like about offering the iPet qualification? You do all of the levels, don't you? You offer all of.
Yeah. So, well, apart from level 4, but yeah. So I felt, in all honesty, I could have gone down the C&G route, but I felt, in all honesty, that it puts people under undue pressure. It puts people under undue pressure, having to sit an exam at a computer. I saw the level of stress when I was going through it with people around me, and they were getting very nervous and very anxious. Learning should not be like that at all. It should be about getting a new skill, being confident, getting out there, having fun with it, and making your own dreams come true, and building a sustainable, successful business. I felt that the iPet way was actually a lot easier for candidates to train through compared to other training providers. Than other. Sorry, hang on. I'm so sorry. Than other. Sorry.
Go and tell them off.
Yeah. It's having too much fun. So I just found it was much nicer than others out there. So I thought it was my personas and my the people that I am marketing the courses to much better.
Yeah, and I think the industry now has got a choice. When my wife was trained to be a dog groomer, there was very little choice. So I think choice is a good thing. So you can have a look at all the qualifications available and say, actually, I like this one, or I don't like that one, or I want to do this one. So I think choice is really good for the industry. And how long are the courses that you offer? How long do they last for?
So usually 30 days. And at the moment, I've got some students doing them over 2 days a week. we've had to, due to family circumstances, with my mum being quite ill again, we've had to string that out. So I've honoured, obviously, like any holiday request that they've had, you know, and it's just a lot more of a personalised and a lot more, they get a lot more one-to-one experience. But there's lots of different courses that I run. It can go from 1 day all the way up to 30 days. I provide them extra support after that. They have one-to-one tutorship with me free of charge, which is included in the price after that. And all future courses get business training with a certain person.
That's right. And you're now offering mine and Vicky's business startup course with your iPet courses. So that's included in your package, is that right?
It is indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose if I touch on that a little bit, it's me and Vicky sort of wanted to make sure that people were able to do their qualifications, you know, concentrate on their pet grooming qualifications, and then come out of that. And if they wanted to start a business, we're going to help them start that business with confidence and support. So Vicky goes through all the accounts with them, and I obviously help them with the business side, the advertising, the pricing.
Yeah.
So that's something that you were quite happy to take forward and sort of put into your courses, wasn't it?
Exactly. I can hear her. She's naughty, isn't she? Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I want to do that, because I'm seeing a huge trend in people that are finishing courses and then going, where do we go now? And originally my plan was to then extend my offering and to able to help them set up their salon or their cabin in the garden or whatever, because obviously I've gone from this, you know, there's now home office, come whatever, hanging shower there. And I've moved to a salon premise, but everyone is different, whether it's a mobile, you know, you can point people in the right directions or you can just help them get on. But in actual fact, I can't be everything to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I realised my limitations. And I mean, we had the chat, I made it really clear that that is not a service that I will be offering. And that's why I now include your course in my fees.
Yeah, and you know, I want people on your courses to concentrate on the grooming, because you know 30 days is a lot to squeeze in 30 days.
That's 30 days practical. That's not even like the portfolio back end side. So, and actually, you know, we did the fast track course as well, which is amazing. I think some people commented like a couple of weeks ago, they're abroad and they wanted fast track, so they want to get their qualifications, but they're abroad. Absolutely fine. You can do it from your own salon. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, as long as you have got those breeds there or those dogs there and those clients there that are willing for you to learn on and to perform your scissor skills and your clipper skills on and to be videoed. Absolutely not a problem. It just makes it a lot more accessible choosing iPet, for example.
And I think what we're learning, aren't we, after COVID, is how the internet is really opening up these courses, and you can do like e-portfolios these days, and you know, Zoom tutorials and Zoom assessments. But yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of Zoom, and I cater it around my clients' needs. I'm very personalised in the way that I do the courses. So obviously, you've got the 30 days practical, but then I also do the one-to-one sessions online. They can record them, but I don't actually offer that as a service.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying, going back, I actually see that a lot of people sort of complete a course and go, wobble, wobble, what am I going to do next? Where am I going to go? How am I going to do it? Obviously, knowing we've just discussed my limitations, it's all about honing in and me concentrating on my part of my business and then setting them up for success with yourself and Vicky on that course. So that's why I now offer, you know, that course there and it's included in the price.
And I think that was a really good, you mentioned it, it's not something that I'd heard before. You mentioned about niching into a bit of empowerment for women. So tell us a little bit about that and your passion around that.
Yeah, so basically I've come across some very anxious, some very low ladies that want to, and it happens to men as well, maybe there's a little bit of mental health, maybe there's lack of confidence, maybe there's a history of domestic violence, maybe they're starting a new life, a new career. My passion there is obviously quite close to my heart, because I've had, you know, we can't all say like nothing's happened to us. We have all been affected, whether it's COVID or something in life in some way, shape or form. I won't lie, I've had, you know, very low points in the past and anxiety, and you come through those with the right help. but I want to be able to, I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a professional in any way, but through the passion and using the animals, because let's face it, you get therapy through animals, right? And a lot of us, why do we go to animals? Why do we work with animals? So we don't like humans so much, maybe just because, you know,
We don't
we're
talk back.
mean at times, you know, and at least the animals are a lot nicer, right? So it can also be seen as a creative art form as well, grooming. So it's a really good way of healing. And the courses are about empowering confidence. It's even down to how you're going to walk and how you're going to handle big, strong dogs. So we've had a couple of Malinois in. I haven't publicly made the photos available or the videos, but I mean, my girls are bossing it, purely bossing it. And those dogs have gone off to the police now, and they are big dogs, very strong. So it's, before they would look at them and go, oh God, can't do that. Yeah, you can. And it's, again, it's breaking it down, taking it step by step. It's learning about how to ground themselves, managing their weight distribution on their feet, and then taking photos throughout with their permission. Obviously, you've got to think about storage, right?
Yeah.
But taking permission of that, but and then sharing it with them in a secure way, and then about them seeing, going from a terrified wreck maybe to that confidence growing so massively, and just seeing them flourish and that smile. And even after a long day grooming, they're buzzing. I mean, buzzing. They're tired, but they're buzzing.
And it's nothing more, I'm not supposed satisfying than, you know, producing some work and working for yourself, and then seeing at the end of the day that money sort of going into your bank or into your till, or, you know, being transferred over to you, and just think, actually, that's really satisfying. That's my hard work has produced that, and it is hard work as well. And maybe
Work, yeah.
you'll produce a bit more, but it's you that's getting out there and you're producing that money.
If I
And
could give it for free, I would give it for free everywhere. I want everyone empowered. I want everyone raised and lifted.
and that's it. And the whole part of, you know, I do the wins in the group, you know, is to celebrate what you've done that week, and it's to celebrate, and it's to turn your mindset around from thinking things can be really negative at times, and we often remember the horrible customer versus the 10 really nice customers. So by sharing your wins and talking about your wins with other people, you perk yourself up. It makes you reflect on your week and think about what's gone right, and it also inspires other people to get up and get going and do stuff so that they can have a win at the end of next week, sort of thing.
Exactly. But also it goes to show, I mean, the girls, one common question is, you know, it costs so much to train to be a dog groomer, but how much are we going to get back in return? And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you know, you're going to have a wonderful career and you're going to love it and you're going to do this and you're going to that and you're going to be empowered. I'm not going to say that. It does come down to cold hard facts on money. It really does at times, and whether they like doing the job. So yeah, we can easily lay out, you know, how much they roughly should be charging. But again, that's a very personalized thing. It depends on area, it depends on the service they deliver, the products that they use, you know. And again, this is why they should be coming to the likes of yourself, a coach. You know, that's not my niche. My niche is empowering them and teaching them and then guiding them and making sure that there is that buffer there, not just with the course with yourselves, but also to make sure that they have that support thereafter. They can come and rent a table from me. They can come and do work experience with me. I will never go. I'm not going anywhere. They have got me. And that's what the package is all about.
That's it. And I put a post on a while ago saying about we're all quite happy to live in the comfort zone. You know, my fitness is very similar to that. We're all happy to live in the comfort zone. And then we try and do something different, and that puts us into a fear zone. So again, fitness for me, I'd never get out and go running or anything like that without having that support there of someone, a coach, you know, someone I pay money to say, right, I've got that appointment on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. I've got to bloody go because I'm paying for it. And I might sit here going, oh, I wish I wasn't. But when I go there, I go through that fear zone. I've got that support from the coach, and then I go into the growth zone. So now I'm growing, and then that becomes one whole new comfort zone. So that's the whole idea around having that support, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get you through that.
Yeah. So it's also about raising the confidence that they can earn money if they want to work and they want to do it, and it's more than an expensive hobby. You know, it's their career. They can earn that money and they can feed their children. They can contribute to the households. You know, it is doable. We're all doing it.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
shouldn't be that fear there about raising your prices. You know, you think about it, like you go into a salon, a hair salon, wet hair, you go into a hair salon and you pay a crazy amount of money, don't you? I mean, to a point where a lot of us have home mobile groomers, you know, hairdressers, sorry,
Yeah.
that come in, or turned like groomer come hairdresser in lockdown, right? All of a sudden we're all getting our clippers out and giving it a go, and like, you know, the whole
And it,
shave offs happening on the children. So
that's
yeah.
it. And if you'd asked my other half why we asked a customer to leave last week, it wasn't, it was, I say, he moaned a little bit about the price, but it's more about how he treated the staff. It was more about how he spoke to Emma, and he spoke to the receptionist and spoke down to them and didn't respect them and didn't respect the profession and didn't respect that there were, maybe go as far as he didn't respect that there were women doing business.
Yeah.
And that was like, Emma was like, no, I'm not having that anymore. I'm not being spoken to like that. I don't want his money. It was the last sort of 60 quid in the world. I don't want it. He can go elsewhere. We do not want it. And that's about having that self-respect, isn't it? And that valuing yourself.
Yeah, definitely. If you think about, you know, when you start putting things into perspective, if you think about getting your car serviced or getting takeaway, pints, pubs, night out, you know, anything, or your TV license, like I mentioned earlier, or buying an iPad, or, you know, it's money, isn't it? But I mean, we're providing a service. It's not, you know, obviously there's retail products there, but we're providing a service. And at the end of the day, we're providing a good service. And they, you know, it's our be all and end all. And we don't want to have reputation damage in any way, but equally, we want to be treated with respect.
Yeah.
And we should be treating them with respect. Absolutely. I've had to actually fire a client. I'm not sorry about it, not one bit. If it doesn't work for me, no.
And I think the good thing,
Nicely done, believe me. But if there's rudeness, no.
and I think I was saying to him the other day, you know, the industry is, I think, turning a corner, and the fact that so many people are so busy, the shoe is now going onto the other foot, where we're no longer in this sort of desperate for work, you know, please come and use our services.
Right.
It's more, we're going to choose and pick and niche, and we're going to say, if you don't like what we do or how much we charge for it, there's choice out there. But we can now start to pick and choose our customers and our clients. And that's, I think, where the industry is starting to see a little bit of a revolution in the fact that it's becoming oversubscribed. So there's a hell of a lot more dogs than there are perhaps groomers out there. And that hopefully will then start picking up the thought of the industry and the standards of the industry and the prices of the industry. That's what I'm hoping for in the next sort of couple of years.
That's what I'm trying to instill into my students, actually, that, you know, they'll always say to me, oh, Kirsty, how much would you charge for blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'll tell them how much I'll charge. I'm very open about it. So as a customer coming in with a student training on one of the dogs, it's obviously the customer's paying a lot less because they're in training mode, and I'm watching everything. But as a stylist who's been grooming for such a long period of time, not as long as 15, 20 years, obviously, but, you know, who's actually got those skills, is always improving and refining those skills as much as I possibly can, I will still charge an awful lot more than what I would have done in the, you know, in the first days, because your confidence grows with your skills and you realize just how much of a service you are providing.
Definitely.
You know, I have a lot of welfare cases come to me where, like, so it's covered by insurance, but I make sure that the vets will write a letter, it's on head of paper, blah, blah, blah. And it will be, he's got a staple in, or just had a staple out, or, you know, whatever, or she's had spinal surgery and in recovery but needs grooming. The vets will just shave off. They recommend she goes for grooming. You know, there's a lot of dogs that I have with medical needs coming to me as well, so I have to be super careful about that. But there is a very big need. Can't train groomers quick enough, really. If I'm going a bit too slow with them and taking a bit too much time. No.
Well, going on to that subject, Leanne has put a question in here saying, what's the best advice from qualifying to then wanting to start your own salon from home, or salon? What's the first steps you would take? So, you know, looking into the qualification, taster days, you know, do you provide...
Qualifying to setting up? did she say?
From qualifying to wanting to start your own business from home.
Build
So
your kit
slowly.
slowly. Build your kit slowly, affordably. Don't get into debt. If you do, make sure you take out the cheapest credit possible ever.
Yeah, bootstrap your business.
Sorry?
Bootstrap your business.
Yeah, that's how I did it. I'm a bootstrapper.
Yeah, the answer's I'm level 3 qualified now. So, you know, do your finances, get your
Buy secondhand. Nothing wrong with secondhand. Never buy secondhand scissors. I don't think, scissors are very personal, but buy secondhand wherever you can. Make sure it's really, really decent stuff. There are people shutting down. There are people that change their mind, or they're arthritic or whatever. There are people shutting down left, right, and centre, especially during the COVID thing, because it wasn't working for them anymore. Try and source wherever you can decent equipment, really good stuff. So, for example, I personally prefer Heineken clippers. I love them. They're German. They're heavy duty workhorse clippers. Not a lot of people do. I train with them, and I use those when I train my students. So I make sure that I've got really good quality stuff in place, but always look for the deals, is what I would say.
But it's not only get your equipment right, but it's also getting your mindset right, and also writing down your figures. Making sure you know how much it's going to cost you and know how much you need to charge for those dogs. So you work out your overheads, and then you work out what you want to earn and what you need to earn, and then you charge your dogs sort of appropriately.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't even just do it by groom. Sometimes I do it by hourly rates, especially when I'm working on the dogs that have got extra special needs, that have just maybe healed from spinal surgery, for example. So I do it. We will be building up to a full groom and just do it hourly. So I do an hourly session, obviously with the vet's permission, the owner is there. So we do hourly, and so I have an hourly rate as well that I work at.
I suppose a shameless plug for me. Book a call in with me, and I can take you.
Book your call to me. Wag watches.
The startup course, and we can talk you through the business startup course and help you get your business started. Leanne's not a plant. That was a genuine question. So, what's your company name? Where are you based, and how can people get hold of you?
wagsandwashes.com.
Wags and Washes.
Lovely website. Wags, as in footballers' wags and wacky tail. So wagsandwashes.com. Based in Hampshire, Romsey, Hampshire. And you can get hold of me via Facebook Messenger. It's the best way. If your account's hacked, get in touch with me. I hope it's not. Get in touch with me and I'll help you.
So Kirsty is now the group expert for information security. Any information security questions that come into the group, Kirsty will be in tagged straight away. I'm sure she'll be happy to speak to you by messenger as well if you've got any particular burning questions. But keep an eye on the chat, and I'll post the web links in there that you need to look at. And there's a short questionnaire in there about assessing what you do at your place of work and how you store that personal information, and whether you should be doing it or registering with the ICO. So keep an eye on that. So I'm going to let you go, Kirsty. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for all the valuable information, and hopefully we've helped people. I've certainly got to go back and look at my CCTV now and make sure we're doing that right. But it's been really valuable. Thanks a lot.
There's a really quick nugget I'll give you here. If it's facing into the public domain, i.e. the front of the house on a footpath, it's got to be registered. If you're capturing faces, vehicle registers, it's got to be registered. Really simple. So there's a top tip.
That's it. Yeah. Look at where it's facing. Our camera is facing into reception. We've got signs up that we have CCTV. It records to a cloud system, so it's recorded off site. And we've done social media about, we're now recording it. But I think we just need to make sure it's not covering the monitor and make sure it's registered.
And also make sure you display the sign. I don't know if have you got a sign up that says, because you actually have to do that by law if you've got a CCTV, even in personal property.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time.
Brilliant. Thank
I'll
you.
let you go and sort your dog out.
Yeah, she's a little Manx.
Take care.
Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye.